Hi, I'm Roamy. Today I'm going to show you how to use the Nuna Cudl Clik to carry a newborn and then also to carry an older baby of around 4 months. So here I've got the Nuna Cudl Clik and it's done up on the front at the minute. So what I'm going to do is just use the little clips here, just squeeze either side and lift it off and do the same on the other. Now there are various different Nuna carriers. This is the Clik, which is the one which has got the magnetic clips. This video is going to be fairly appropriate for if you've got one of the other versions which has buckles, but obviously this is specifically for the Clik. So we've got here the carrier. There is a clip that goes around behind. So the first thing you're going to do is just adjust that clip right down to the very bottom of the straps so it's close to here. So you're going to slide that right down, and then depending on how broad you are, you're going to adjust how wide it is. So for me, I've got it fairly close to tightest setting. If you're broader, you may want it a little bit wider. It's something that you can kind of adjust once you've tried it on. So you'll need to kind of play about with how wide that is so it sits comfortably on your shoulders. It's quite helpful if you can get somebody else to actually adjust it on you rather than having to take it off and put it back on. But once you've got it set, obviously you don't need to adjust it. So that's the first thing to do, clip that together, make sure it's sitting nice and low on the straps like that, and then tighten it up appropriately for your body shape. So the next thing we're going to do is just double check. So for a newborn, you want to be using this little infant piece. If you bought your carrier new, this will be done up in there, but if you haven't, just zip it in. So it zips into the top here and the bottom there. It says infant booster, and what this does is it basically shortens the whole carrier for a newborn baby and ensures it's not too wide for their legs when they're little. So we're now ready to put it on. So what you're going to do is you've got the carrier like this. You're going to put one arm through each side and then pass it over your head so that buckle goes behind you like that. Okay, you're now going to take the waistband. Now the waistband, or that's called a waistband, will sit in different places depending on how tall your baby is and how tall you are. So when they're little, you're going to want to wear it pretty high, kind of around the lowest part of your rib cage. As they get bigger, you'll move it lower. Then when we take the infant insert out, which I'm going to show you in a little bit, we'll then wear it high again and move it down lower. So it doesn't always sit on your waist. Sometimes it will sit higher. As they get bigger, you'll end up with it down on your hips. But you're going to bring this around behind. So this has got a built-in lumbar support. So you're going to pass this around behind and clip it together around over here. So it goes click. Now to tighten it, you've got two tighteners, one on either side. So what you're going to do is hold the panel against you where you want it to sit. So I've got this nice and high on me because I've got a newborn. Hold this against you, pull this side out, hold it again and pull this side out. What that means is it means it will get it nice and snug. If you just try pulling it, you won't necessarily get it quite as secure. And you want it to be tight like a belt, so it's snug but not uncomfortable, because this is going to take the majority of the weight. Okay, so we've got the waistband on nice and high, this over our shoulders. Now you've got these two little circles here which have the panel attached to them when we finished. Just make sure they're sitting either side of where baby's head is going to be. So make sure they're not up over your shoulders, bring them down. You will find that the panel folds further down here. That's absolutely fine, because what that will do is, again, it will shorten the panel height while baby's little. So just make sure those are where you want them to sit. Okay, so we've got the hat carrier hanging down like this. We're now going to pick up our baby. So this demo doll is a kind of average sort of newborn baby size. It's meant to be about 7.5 pound size. So you give them a cuddle with their head on your chest. Generally newborns will have their little hands tucked up in front of them like this, and then they'll have their little knees tucked up. Now see, this is a doll, not a real baby. You won't need to necessarily manoeuvre your baby the way I'm having to manoeuvre the doll, because my doll doesn't obviously have any muscle control. But what you do is you spend a bit of time just making sure you've got them in a nice comfy position with their head on your upper chest, and make sure their little feet are just either side of that insert panel. So either have a look in the mirror or just have a little feel. Okay, once you're happy that they're in a comfy position, support them with one hand, and you can use your chin to support their head, and just gently slide this up between their legs and up over their bottom and back, so you're holding them across their shoulders. Now you want to make sure at this stage, with the leg, that this goes no higher than the earlobe. If it's a little bit low, that's okay, because we can adjust it later, but you don't want it any higher than the earlobe, because it will be very difficult to bring it lower down once they're in. So you've slid this up, you're holding them across their shoulders. You're then going to take one of these clips, hold it above that circle until it goes snap and clicks into place. There we go, is that one good? Yeah. give it a little pull just to make sure it really has. And then we're going to do the same with the other one. This one's going to go over the circle and it goes snap to pop into place. Okay, so you're now going to keep holding baby across their shoulders. Move the little arm, and then you're going to take the one that's coming around here. So it's this little one here, and it's exactly the same principle. So you're going to bring this around, and so it goes snap onto there. And the same with this one, you bring this one around, until here it goes snap. Okay, just give them a good shake just to make sure they're properly attached on there. Right, so before we let go of baby, we've got a couple more things to do. So again, we're going to check that's no higher than the earlobe. If it's a little bit low, just take this front edge and give a gentle bounce, and what that will do is it will just bring that front panel up a little bit higher. So just make sure that's sitting nicely there, and just check the little legs and make sure they're comfy. So you want the little knees tucked towards you. Once we've fully tightened it, we'll check again with the positioning. Then what you're going to do is take this one that's coming under your armpit here, so it's the shoulder strap one, and you're going to gently pull it straight forward towards baby, and the same with the other side. So you want to tighten it up so they're held as tightly as if you were holding them in your arms. Okay, now I can let go. So I'm now going to have a little look at their legs. You want to make sure the little knees are tucked in like this, with their feet just poking out either side. Now it will depend on how big or small baby is as to whether they do fit in it from day one. You may find if baby's a bit smaller that this is actually a little bit too wide. So try it with baby and see, but you don't want to overextend their legs. You want to make sure that they're tucked in with their little knees tucked up like this, ideally around hip width apart, so baby's hip width, with their feet poking out either side. But if baby is a bit smaller or very, very scrunched up, you may need to wait a couple of weeks before it fits. So that's the leg positioning. Again, as I said before, check this is going no higher than their earlobe, and make sure they're nice and snug against you. So key things are they've got nice clear airways and you can see their face, they're snug against you, and this panel is no higher than the earlobe. Now if you're finding the panel won't go up to their earlobe, just move that waistband a tiny bit lower on you, and again do that little bounce, and what that will do is it will extend the panel. If you feel this is a little bit loose here, you can tighten these straight down like this, like that, just to make it more snug, so it's nice and snug behind their shoulders so they can't slump. Okay, so those are the checks for baby. They've got clear airways, this is no higher than earlobe, they're nice and snug, and their legs are in a nice comfy tucked up position. Then have a look at how it's fitting you. So these shoulder straps, you want to sit flat against your body. You don't want them to be tipping up or down. And this is where I said about it'd be quite useful to have someone to help you. So you want them to lie flat on your shoulders, and then around over your back. You want to make sure they're curving around nicely so they're sitting against your back properly. So you may need to widen that piece behind or narrow it depending on how it's sitting. You want to make sure they're not kind of digging in under your armpits, so making that clip behind tighter so it comes close together. It will bring these away from your armpits. Okay, so if you have a look, I know I've got black on black, but hopefully you can see there that's nice and snug across, so this isn't digging into my armpits and it's nice and supportive. Okay, if you do need to tighten the waistband at all, again you can hold the panel here, tighten one side and then the other. Okay, so that is the position for a newborn in the Nuna Cudl Clik. I'm now going to transform it so that we can carry a 4-month-old. Oh, sorry, just before I finish, with this baby, as baby gets bigger, just like I've just done a minute ago, you'll move this waistband lower. So the lower the waistband goes, the taller this panel will be. So as they get bigger, and this is no longer coming to their earlobe, you'll slowly start to move the waistband lower, and that will make the panel taller. You don't want to fold this up over their head. You only fold it up when the carrier is either no longer to their earlobe, so you need to make it up to their earlobe, or once they're older and they've got full head control, it's no longer to their armpits. You generally aren't going to need to put this one up until probably around a year. It's a panel extender, not a head support, so it's just really important to bear that in mind. So yeah, as they get bigger, you'll move this waistband lower, that will make the panel taller, and then once they're getting bigger and they're no longer really fitting it in this setting, we're then going to move it to the second setting that I'm now going to demonstrate with my larger doll. So to get baby out, what you're going to do is support them across their shoulders and just squeeze the top and bottom of that clip and lift it straight off. And then the same with this one, so you squeeze and lift it off. Then we're going to do exactly the same with these ones. So you squeeze either side and lift it off, and the same with this one here. So they're really nice clips because it's literally just squeeze and lift off, and to attach it you just hold it over there, so they're nice and straightforward. Then hold baby inside the carrier, let the carrier flop down, and then you can lift baby out. So to get out of the carrier, now you've got it on, you're going to undo the waistband, so this one around here, if I can reach it, there we go, and then you're going to take this off over your head. Now I find it's easiest just to lift it up, undo that clip like that, and then you can lift this off over your shoulders. Some people like to loosen these straps off and pass it over, but I find that actually undoing it is the quickest and easiest way. Right, so for a bigger baby, what we're going to do is we're going to reconnect this one. I'm going to leave that set exactly the same as I've just had it. I'm going to loosen these shoulder straps off a little bit because obviously my baby's bigger, so they're going to take up more space. Okay, and I'm actually going to put it on me just to do the next adjustment because it's going to be easier to show you if it's on me. So I'm going to put that over my shoulders. Right, I'm now going to take this infant booster piece out. So it's got a little zip on here. If you lift up this flap here, you can see the zip. And you're just going to unzip all the way across and take that out. And then the other part of it is zipped in down here. So what this does is it basically makes a little hammock that they're sat higher in. So when you take it out, it makes the whole carrier taller. There's one more adjustment I'm also going to do. So if you have a look on these clips that come around the side, you'll see there's a little button. Now what that button does is it makes it all a bit more snug when they're tiny. So that's done up when they're little, but as they get bigger, you're going to undo the button. And this is really stiff because it's brand new and I've only undone it once before. And obviously you're only going to need to undo this button kind of once in baby's lifetime, obviously with subsequent babies. Let's move this around so I can actually get the button out. I might need to speed up this a little bit on the video if it takes me a while. Buttons can be quite awkward, can't they? Right, come on, through you go. Can't get that to go through. I'll try the other one first and then I'll do this one. There we are. I've got the button moving. Right, I've got one out. Let's get the other one. Yeah, if you lift the button, actually, it makes it a little bit easier to pull through. So lift the button and pass it back through. Brilliant. There we go. Got those undone. So it's just going to make it a little bit more wide around baby now that they're bigger. Okay, so we've undone those. We've made the panel longer. Now I'm going to start the waistband. Now, if you've watched the first video, you'll have heard me say about the height of the waistband will determine how tall the panel is. So it will depend on how long your baby is and also how tall you are as to where the waistband sits. So I'm going to put this fairly high because we can move this down once they're in, but it's harder to move it up. So I'm going to put this high up around the bottom of my rib cage and bring this around behind and clip it together if I haven't got it twisted. Right, there we go. Bring that round behind and this clips in to the side of the panel around there. Like that. Okay, so we've got that around there and I'm going to hold this where I want it to sit, so nice and high, and then tighten this across one side and across the other, like that. Okay, so I've got the panel hanging down. Now just have a check here. So you've got these two little circles. You want to bring those down so they're going to be either side of baby's head. So this will mean that some of this panel here actually folds over. Obviously when the waistband's lower, it'll go longer. But for now, because we've got the waistband high, when we pull these clips down, that will fold this over, which will then again mean that the panel doesn't go too high over baby. Now the demo doll that I'm using is around 4-month-old size. Generally they're starting to get full head control by that age. So you've got two options with where the panel can sit on your baby. You can either have it up to the earlobe like you do with the newborn, or once they've got full head control, they can have arms over the top of the carrier so it comes up to their armpits. So again, where your waistband sits will be determined by whether you want them to have arms in which case you'll have the waistband a bit lower, or arms out, in which case you'll have it shorter. But that will all make more sense once I put it on. So I've got the carrier all set up. I'm now going to pick up my baby. So just like with the newborn, pick them up and hold them with their head on your upper chest. And at this age, their legs will be wrapping around you. So you're going to have them legs wrapping around, and you want their bottom quite a long way over this panel, because again, that will shorten it. So head on your upper chest, legs wrapping around. You're now going to slide your hand under here and stroke this up over their bottom and back. Now, because I've got the waistband nice and high, this means my baby can have their arms over the top. So I'm just going to slide this up, pop their arm over here. I'm just going to lengthen this off just to make it a little bit easier to reach. I can tighten it in a minute. Lift this up and just hold it over there so it goes clip. Hold them with the other hand, and we're going to do exactly the same with this side. So I'm going to lift this up and it goes clip over here. Now I'm just going to tighten these up here, so pull these straight down just to hold baby snug in there before I do the next one. So we've got that nicely up to their armpits. Now keep holding baby, and then you're going to do this one at the side. So this one comes around and you hold it over there and it goes clip, and this one comes around and goes clip. or click, I guess, because that's called the Nuna Cudl Clik. There we go. So keep holding baby until you've tightened it. You're going to reach under here and pull this one straight forward towards your baby, and then the same on this side. And you want to do that until they're evenly tight. Ideally, you want these two pulling forward the same amount, so they're the same length. Right, now that baby's snug, I can let go. So key things are, you can see their face and they've got clear airways. They're nice and snug so they can't slump. Make sure it's no lower than their armpits and no higher than their earlobe if they've got head control. If they haven't yet got head control, you're going to want to do it up to their earlobe again. So this will need to be a little bit taller up. And just make sure they're sitting comfortably. So you want it to fit nicely from one knee to the other. So the lower leg hangs straight down. It's called an M position because this looks a little bit like an M, like that. And if they're a little bit lopsided, you can just shift them left or right once they're in. If they have got, what's it called, sleep sit on with feet, just make sure you pull the fabric down. Generally, it's best to sort of size up if you've got one of these on, just so there's no pressure on their feet and it allows them to have a nice comfortable position, or obviously do something without feet. Okay, so those are the safety checks. Then on you, it's the same checks as when they're a newborn. So make sure these straps are all sitting nicely on your body. Make sure it's all kind of sitting comfortably on the back. If you've got someone who can have a little look, then just get them to check. And then you've got the clip across the back there, which you can adjust left or right if you need to. Now, if you've had this set up from a newborn, it shouldn't need adjusting on the back. But obviously, if you've just got it for the first time, you may need to adjust it. So you can adjust that clip so kind of it goes wider or narrower, so these straps sit nicely. You don't want this digging in under your armpits, so make sure that the clip is done up nice and tight so they curve around like that rather than curving around wide. Okay, so that is how to use the Nuna Cudl Clik with an older child without using the insert. Now, as they get bigger, as I said before, you'll move the waistband lower. So if I'd wanted baby to have their arms in, what I did, and I can probably do this now actually, if I just loosen this waistband off a little bit and move it down and then retighten it, I'm now going to undo these clips, just the ones either side of their face. So squeeze, I can never undo this one, squeeze and lift it up, bring it down and then put it back up. There we go. And then do the same on the other side. And then what we're going to do, because I've just lowered the waistband, I can now give a little bounce, and can you see that moves up? Because the waistband's lower, more of the panel is up over their back than it is between us. So I've just bounced that up so it's coming no higher than the earlobe, and then if you need to, tighten it up again here. So it's quite easy to bring it higher if you do need to. So say you've put them in, it's up to their armpits, just move that waistband a tiny bit lower, bounce the panel up so it's coming up to their earlobe but no higher, and then they're nice and snug. So yes, that's the Nuna Cudl Clik with a newborn, with an older baby, and then with arms in and arms out with the older baby. Hope that was helpful. I'm just going to show you how to take them out so you know how to escape from the carrier. So hold them across their shoulders and then squeeze the clip here and lift. Squeeze the clip here and lift. And then do the same on these. You're squeezing either side there and lifting, and squeezing either side here and lifting. Then carefully bring that down and lift your baby out. And then to take this off, you're going to just unclip around the side here, like that, and then lift this up. So you find the clip behind, undo that clip, and bring these off your shoulders. Hope that was helpful.